everyone, welcome to Simranreads, and today I'm going to be discussing about my favorite parts from this book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. There are so many different scenes which I really love in this book, and I really wish that these scenes were there in the movie. Some scenes are already there in the movie and some are not. So I'm going to be discussing basically the scenes from this book which I absolutely love. So without any further ado, let's get started with this video. So starting off with the scene when Dumbledore and McGonagall were there at Privet Drive and waiting for Harry to arrive by Hagrid, obviously, and McGonagall was so curious to know more about what happened at the Potter's house, what all happened with you know who and everything, and she was so curious and she was so waiting for Dumbledore to say something. Rather, instead of saying the things which McGonagall wants to hear, Dumbledore asked her if she would care to have a sherbet lemon with him. So that was a bit like a funny scene. It was like everything was so serious with all the scene that was happening, and how curious was McGonagall, and Dumbledore saying if she would care to have a sherbet lemon with him was so funny at that time. And that expression that McGonagall gave to Dumbledore, if you can all remember that, if you have read this book, McGonagall was so furious at him. Seriously, not by the way of furious, but she was so like, what are you talking about, Dumbledore? Like that type of serious. I really love to read the part when Harry explains what all happened with him, when anyone tries to force him to do anything. So I really love the part when Aunt Petunia cut his hair and he was also scared to go to the school, thinking how people will react to his new hairstyle, which was so yuck. That was explained by him, and then how his hair suddenly grew like it was before. I really love that part because these things were not mentioned in movies. Only the part where they went to zoo and then the glass vanished, that scene was there in the movie. Not this one description was there, and I really love to read that. Following that events, when Harry received his first letter, when Aunt Petunia asked him to gather all the letters, and he first found his first letter from Hogwarts, and that line, that expression, that his heart was twanging like an elastic band, that line was so amazing to read. I mean, you can very well imagine how it would felt when he received that letter, thinking someone might have sent him a letter, thinking that no one was there out in the world for him to, for just thinking about that, and thinking about how someone had sent him a letter. That was so amazing. Don't you think that was that was such an amazing feeling for him? And then following that events, when he was receiving letters, so many letters, and that the one who's sending, we know that he was receiving the letters from Hogwarts, but he don't know that person might be so curious to talk to him or so curious to send him the letters, that so many letters are bombarding in their house. And I really love that the letter contains the place where Harry is. And I know there was one part of that under the stairs, cupboard under the stairs, and there was another part in the movie where they were at the rock. So it was written on the rock or on the floor of the rock, something like that. But then reading it in detail, like how many times the letter were addressed to him and how many times Uncle Vernon actually tried to get rid of those letters, it was so crazy. Seriously, it was so amazing reading that, yet so crazy. Like when they went to a hotel and Harry received a letter saying room number 17, something like that, and reading all those tiniest details in the book, that was seriously good. Reading those parts. The next scene that I absolutely loved was when Harry was doing his birthday countdown, and there was this paragraph saying 10 seconds remaining, 9 seconds remaining for his birthday, and 8 seconds remaining for his birthday. And then when the clock struck midnight, like 12 a.m., and suddenly there was a third light, Hagrid was there and he was bombing door or something like that. And seriously, Harry just said make a wish, something like that. And can you imagine what he might have wished for? He might have wished for to read the letters, and then as the clock struck 12, Hagrid was there for Harry. Hagrid was there to save Harry. I absolutely love how Hagrid behaves towards Dumbledore. I mean, he showed so much respect. He was so faithful for Dumbledore. Anytime Dumbledore say anything to him, for anything, any work to him, he would do it, and he would do it so properly and so proudly that Dumbledore has trusted him. I absolutely love reading that. And when Uncle Vernon said, "I'm not paying for that crackpot old fool to teach him magic tricks," if you remember that line, and Hagrid was so furious about that. I mean, that was seriously amazing to read. Hagrid was always my favorite, being a friend to Harry and being so faithful to Dumbledore. Even when things went wrong, he was there to help Dumbledore a lot in many times, and I loved it. And how proud he was to help Dumbledore. I absolutely loved that. Following those scenes only, when Harry woke up after, all the nights thing that was happening, when Hagrid was there, he was telling about his parents and everything. The next morning, when he woke up, he thought it was a dream, and he thought it was such a great dream. I mean, it was so new to him that someone will come here, someone will tell him that he's a wizard and everything. He haven't expected any of this, and thinking that it was all a dream was so kiddish, like seriously so kiddish. An 11-year-old might absolutely think that something different happening altogether and thinking it might be a dream. In my childhood, I haven't read any books. I have watched all the movies in my childhood. I wish I would have read the Harry Potter series when I was a kid, but it's okay. It's okay. I know that time won't come again for me when I'm a kid and I'm reading Harry Potter, and those feelings and everything. I love the entire chapter of Diagon Alley. I really wish I could see the entire Diagon Alley properly, not in the movies, like properly. Even in movies also, I would see every shop that was mentioned in this book properly, and everything. I loved everything about Diagon Alley. Every shop, every detail about that. I absolutely love reading that chapter. Following those scenes only, when Harry was at platform 9 and 10, and he don't know where the platform 9 3/4 was, and he was so scared that Uncle Vernon and Dudley and Aunt Petunia will tease him his entire life for this, and he also thought that Hagrid might have fooled him or might have betrayed him, something like that. And then he finally met Molly Weasley and her entire family. He also met Ron, and Molly Weasley helped him to, just go through that platform. She was so caring. She was so caring. I mean, without knowing that he was Harry, she talked to him so politely, and she was so caring. It was so amazing reading all that, and Fred and George, and just amazing. And in that chapter only, I absolutely love the conversation between Fred and George and Molly Weasley, and how Molly Weasley was saying, "Don't you dare bring a Hogwarts toilet," and Fred and George was like, "Oh, thank you, mother. We will gift you, or we will send you a Hogwarts toilet." And it was so funny to read that thing. I mean, seriously, they both are just funny, and anything related to those two boys, I absolutely love reading them. Following that, I think there was this train journey, and then we have seen that train journey in movies as well, so I'm not discussing more about that. But following that, when they reached Hogwarts and when they were in that great hall, and the Sorting Hat was singing his song, I really wish that the song was there in the movie. Depicts all the houses properly, their qualities, and I really wish the song was there to clarify most of the doubts of people seeing those movies. I mean, someone who seriously don't know about what is Harry Potter or what is Harry Potter movies will definitely think what is Gryffindor, what is Ravenclaw, or what are their qualities. Even now, as being an adult, I don't know exactly the qualities of a Ravenclaw, being a Ravenclaw. And in books, it is mentioned so well. In books, it is every Sorting Hat song is so different, and it depicts what all was happening, or something different was always there in that song. So I love that. I absolutely love the Hogwarts song, the Hoggy Woggy song, something like that, Hogwarts song, and I absolutely love reading that. And remember that line Dumbledore said in his speech, "Nitwick, blubber," something like that. I really don't know what that means, but I mean, Dumbledore is always very different from, like, he talks very differently, if you know what I mean. But I absolutely love how Snape was like, he was so much into like taking points from Gryffindor that he would find the lamest excuse and take points from Gryffindor. 10 points from Gryffindor, 5 points from Gryffindor, like that. Seriously, he was so much into that. And I love when Professor McGonagall caught Harry, asked Mr. Filchwick, for to can she borrow a wood? Can she borrow wood? And Harry was so scared, thinking she will beat him with a wood. And then when Oliver Wood came out of the class, both Harry and Oliver was so confused what was happening. See, you have read that scene, right? You have read that scene. I was so much irritated by Hermione at one point of time. Like, she was so obedient and she was so much interfering. And I seriously don't like. At one point of time, I was so irritated by Hermione when both Harry and Ron were sneaking out from the Gryffindor Tower, and she was sitting right there, and she told that she also mentioned the same to Percy. They won't risk losing any more points from Gryffindor. I mean, what, Hermione? What? Please don't be so much obedient. Please don't be so much obedient, or don't be so much like that. But then she eventually improved in that thing. Seriously. The thing which I absolutely love was reading Quidditch match. It was so enthralling. I was like, oh yeah, Gryffindor, yeah, go Gryffindor. I was like that. And the chapter was well written. I enjoyed reading that Quidditch chapter. Then I absolutely love when they were going through that trapdoor and all those challenges which were there for them. And I love reading those challenges in full detail. Those challenges were not there in the movies. I absolutely love the challenge of Snape. It was so different from rest of the other, without any magic, and Hermione did so well in that one. And I absolutely love reading those. And following that scene, when Harry was at the hospital wing after all that fight with Voldemort and everything, and he was there and looking at his gifts, and Dumbledore was also there, and Dumbledore tasted that Bodhi bought every flavored beans, and he tasted that earwax one. I cannot imagine how he might have felt. That was something, reading, like, that was funny. And he said, alas, earwax. Following those scenes only, when they were at the Great Hall, and it was the last day at Hogwarts, and everyone was going, and when they left, the Great Hall scene was also great when Gryffindor won. And when they left, when they were at the platform 9 3/4 and going and saying goodbye to each other, both Ron and Hermione was so much, sad or upset for Harry that he might be spending 2 months or 3 months, I don't know, whatever the period was, with the Dursleys, and they might have caught the view of how Dursleys were. And Harry says that Dudley don't know we are not allowed to do magic outside school, and he has that smile, that wicked smile on his face. I absolutely love that. So yeah, these are my favorite parts from the book Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. If you like this video, give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't, for more book related videos. I will see you in my next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.